Nervous?
Yes.
First time.
No, I've been nervous lots of times.
Live from the basement of the YouTube headquarters, it's the Stacking Benjamin Show. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and it's that time. We're running a year-long competition between our frequent contributors, and today we're playing for not 1, but 2 points by presenting one of our famous game shows. What are the best ways you can lose money in the financial markets? We'll quiz our contributors, who include a guy who's the voice of the show we lovingly and incorrectly call the Better Interest Podcast, Jesse Cramer. And the woman who we correctly say is the host of the Afford Anything show, Paula Pant. And the guy who's the diva rocking the microphone in Mom's basement here in TXK, it's OG. And now a guy who could pass for Wink Martindale, it's Joe Saul-Sehy.
Doug, how old you got to be to know who Wink Martindale is?
Yeah, that dude's legendary. I mean, he's on the Mount Rushmore of game show hosts. I think people know him. Him and Chuck Woolery.
This is a quiz question. This is how you know. Paula Pant, do you know who Wink Martindale is?
I have no idea. No.
Yep. There it is right there. We just figured out that that's too old. Hey, everybody. Welcome to 80s Game Show Host References for the Win podcast. I'm Joe Saul-Sehy, and it is Game Show Day, which means sit back and relax. We're going to have some fun. What I love about our game shows is that we take a piece that we found in the popular press that is a list, and sometimes they're lists that are just absolute garbage. Sometimes they're fun, but what is always fun is that the things that our contributors come up with about the list, I think is often way better than what's on the list in the first place. So the bar's a little high, guys. But before we get started, let's meet the team. The guy across the card table from me, let's start there. Mr. OG is here. How are you, man?
Good. More best soberer than most Fridays, because it's like 4 a.m. or whatever time we're doing this.
Live on YouTube at 4 a.m. Yeah, it is good. You don't have a beverage in front of you, a foamy beverage or
coffee.
Yes, just coffee. And the woman who what are you drinking, Paula Pant?
It is a foamy beverage and also coffee because it's a nitro cold brew. So it's got the
oh my goodness,
it's got the foam on top. So it's a foamy beverage coffee
with some rum in it.
No, it's with some half and half.
Oh, okay.
The nitro part of that I hoped was booze.
Yeah.
Right. Is that from half something else, Paula? Is that it?
Exactly. Yeah, half rum, half vodka.
It's my kind of morning pick me up.
Right. And the guy who's the rum and the vodka of this podcast, huh? How about that? Jesse Cramer's here with us. How are you, man?
This is the first time I've been accused of being a party drink in my life, but I'll take it.
You are a party drink. I don't know. You ready for the weekend? You ready for this big weekend? It's not really a big weekend.
I'm super excited for this coming weekend. It's going to be great.
It is so wild just to peek behind the curtain. We record this on a day that's not close to the weekend, and we just came off a weekend, and it's great to pretend, Jesse, like we're going into the weekend.
Totally. My favorite part of weekends is time away from work. And this weekend is going to bring that in spades. I'm so excited.
Well, you've got an hour now of time away from work. We're going to have some fun. You know what is super fun, Jesse? You know what the most fun thing on this podcast is?
Ooh, commercials.
Yeah. Well, one specifically, and it's that this episode's brought to you by State Farm. I get a little tear in my eye because the market for small business insurance is one that you need to pay attention to. If you're in the market for a business insurance, State Farm knows your business is your life. State Farm agents are small business owners too, so they know what it takes. They can help you create a personalized insurance plan, Jesse, that fits your small business needs and your budget. Small business insurance from State Farm. Everybody sing, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Okay, Joe, sing. Talk to your local agent today. We got a great show. We've got Paula here. We got Jesse here. We got OG here. We have a few more sponsors that make this possible so that you don't have to pay for it. Let's hear from a couple right now, and we're going to get our game show rolling. All right, let's get this thing moving. The topic today is 15 ways on this list to lose money in the markets. 15 ways to lose money in the markets. The creator of this list says there's plenty of investment advice out there based on what one must do to be successful. You don't see many people take the opposite approach and talk to you about what you shouldn't do. There are many ways to succeed, but only a few avenues to fail. There are some surefire ways to make poor investment decisions. Today, we're going to help our stackers make some absolutely rotten investment decisions. OG?
I have a question. Is this like a bunch of don'ts?
No, this is a bunch of, if you want to make horrible decisions, do this. So just get rid of the word don't and do it. And you've just made a rotten decision. There's 15 ways.
But your answer should be in the negative.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
Like, don't
Paula's
write
confused
anything
too.
down.
Does it have to be phrased in the form of a question?
Yes. Has to be formed, and it has to be phrased in the form of a thing you shouldn't do.
Shouldn't.
Got it? So
I shouldn't insert thing here.
OG has 12 points.
Nobody knows.
Mom has 10. Jesse, you're going to play on behalf of Mom this week because she doesn't really care about doing trivia, and she also doesn't want to come down the stairs. And Paula has 8. Paula, it's a 2-point day because we're going to stop halfway through this for another game. We're going to do our usual trivia at the halfway point. So you could be tied with Mom/Jesse at the end. I say that with hope, and we all know there's probably 0 chance that's happening, but who knows? Who knows?
Dang.
But
Shots fired.
Paula gets to go first. I've been hoping for a long time. Paula, you get to go first. What's one great way to make sure that you make a poor investment decision?
To make a poor investment decision, make an impulsive decision based on a water cooler tip.
Wow, Paula out of the gate.
Well, at least I'm on brand.
But it is true. That's a great way to lose money. I've talked a lot lately about me just jumping on Yahoo Finance, seeing something about a stock and putting some money in it. And then Paula, I told you about it and you put some money in it too.
Exactly.
And it is the dumbest thing. We both know better. And it was water cooler talk. And actually we have made money on it though.
Yeah. Well, it's choices should be judged based on the process and not based on the outcome.
That's exactly right. And our process was damn poor to buy that stock. But Jesse, have you ever bought something because of talk around the water cooler? Like, hey, everybody else is buying it. Let's just buy some.
When it comes to investing, I think the one that comes to mind, I mean, I bought Berkshire Hathaway just because I liked Warren Buffett. I didn't actually look at the business fundamentals. I just thought I was like, it's like buying an action figure or a baseball hat. I own Berkshire Hathaway. Same thing.
I can't picture Warren Buffett in a baseball hat or as an action figure.
Would the Warren Buffett action figure
That
be
would
cool?
Great.
Investors of the decade of the century, Warren Buffett. But it is funny because with that one, you look at the fundamentals of that company and boy, they're horrible. No, I'm kidding. they're absolutely fantastic. Like Jesse, if you're going to just take a flyer, that ended up being a pretty damn good one.
It worked out. Out.
Nice way to go. Oh, gee, I'm sure you've never done this. Just, bet on a stock.
Yeah, never. Of course not. Who does something so foolish as that? That would be ridiculous. For me, as I'm thinking about these, I'm thinking about it in the grand context of losing money, not just market losing money. And there's a purchasing decision I'm strongly considering, which is terrible. So I'm thinking about this from this is a purchase, and the people I'm bouncing the idea off of aren't helping because they're like, you would never do that. You're such a baby. You would never be able to pull the trigger on something that expensive. I'm like, oh yeah, watch me. I bet I can.
Oh boy,
Is it an airplane?
They're really no. It's not.
No, you're not going to upgrade.
It's worse.
It's even worse.
It's worse than an airplane.
He's going to buy the whole airport this time, Paula. Yeah.
It's the runway of the airplane. No.
Good news, Mrs. OG. We own Hartsfield.
That would actually be probably pretty profitable, all things considered.
It could be. Yeah. Jesse, you are up next. 15 ways to lose money in the markets. What do you think's on this list?
I'm going to say that you should not over concentrate into a single stock.
Again, another good one, Doug, but one that's not on the list. Yeah, no diversification, Jesse, is either going to be, the good news is you're either going to make a lot of money or you're going to lose a lot of money.
Yeah, the odds are against you. The odds are against you. I mean, I thought Paula had a good answer. I thought she had a good process behind her answer. I thought I had a good process behind my answer. And so far, I'm just questioning the validity of this article. But no, don't worry. I'm still optimistic.
I'm so curious as to what's on the article.
Welcome to the Stacky Benjamins show, where you question the validity of what we're even doing.
All the listeners are like, welcome to the party.
That's right. Where have you been, Jesse?
We've been questioning the validity of this show for a long time.
All right, OG, here in the first round of 3, you can take a 1-0-0 lead.
I did like under diversification. I'm glad that he picked that so I can cross it off my list. I'm just going to go something, like Wall Street Betsy's day trading options.
It's on the list. Number 14 on this list. Investing is boring. Just speculate. Trade 0-day options. Gamble. Shoot the moon. The markets are rigged anyway. Why even try? Just go ahead and speculate. OG takes the early lead in round 1. It's not good news, Paula. Not good news. We got to get him in round 2. Here's the good news, Jesse, and we didn't explain this at the start of today. Round 2 is worth 2 points. Unless OG gets one right, then his is only worth 1. No, I'm kidding. It's all worth 2. 2 points for round 2, and then 3 points for the third round guess. So here's the deal, contestants. You can either save your best one for last, but somebody else might get to it first, or you can make sure that you get the points. But 2 points for this round, and we go in reverse order. OG, you get to go again.
Oof. All right.
It's like a snake draft for fantasy football.
I know. All right. So option trading is out. Speculation. It seems really broad based. I mean, by saying speculation, you assume that there'd be one there for under diversification too.
I would have thought so too. And there is not.
All right. Again, just a tactical thing. It probably falls into the same category, but I'm going to say margin, using margin to invest.
Using margin to invest. Is that on the list? It is not on the list. And Doug, I told our contestants beforehand, I'm like, you guys are going to get all these.
This is super easy. This is like,
this is going to be the easiest list we ever had.
Wow. 1 for 4, but yeah, it's great.
But yet that is a good one, OG. The number of times, OG, I remember back in 2002 and 2007, people in my office, because they had a margin call and they had to sell positions, like margin will kick your butt in a down market really quick.
Well, it works really great when it works, and it works really badly in a hurry when it doesn't. You're basically saying, I want to borrow money to invest in the market, which if you think, oh, well, long term, the stock market goes up and I can borrow it at a cheap rate. Wouldn't that be great? You're right. That works 70% of the time. It works all the time. And then the other 30%, it gets ugly in a hurry because at the end of the day, the brokerage company that's lending you the money is not going to let themselves go in the red, right? So if they get to a point where they feel like you are too close, and in fact, there's rules around this with the SEC and with the brokerage companies around how much money you have to maintain in your account. But if it goes down to a certain number, they're out. They'll get out to make their loan paid off, even if that means zeroing you out along the way. So even though mathematically you go, well, this should work over time. If it, I just have to ride out the waves, and I'm borrowing money at 5 and investing it at 10. That sounds great. It's true, except for when the market does go down, you went down 20 instead of 10 because you had twice the money, right? Or 30 instead of 15. So it's very aggressive. It doesn't mean it can't work. There are some use cases for it for sure, but you got to know what you're getting yourself into.
Paul or Jesse, you guys ever use margin?
No, never. But it's funny. You never hear about people using margin to buy VTSAX, right?
No, that's true.
It seems as though anytime you hear about someone using margin, they're using it to buy individual stock positions.
Right. And really, and like penny stocks.
Yeah, exactly. Or even if they're buying, blue chip companies, there's still that additional concentration of risk there. So, I've heard far too many cautionary tales around people losing their shirts with as a result of investing on margin that I've stayed away from it.
It's funny because when it comes to margin, I think to myself, would I rather use margin to buy a stock or would I use an option to go into the stock? I think of the two, I'd probably use an option to buy instead. So if it goes south, then I'm only out the option price. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you've got a position that you want to buy, you can certainly, sell a put against it and see, if it goes down, Apple's at 100 and you say, if it got to 90, I would totally buy it. Right. Like that's if the volatility pushes it down a little bit, that's a good entry point. You can sell an option contract to make that happen automatically. The risk that you run by not buying it is it goes from 100 to 110 to 120 to 130. And you're constantly trailing going, oh, if it just goes down a little bit, I'll get in. Meanwhile, you missed out on it going from 100 to 130.
Good
but
point.
You picked up a little bit of income, hoping it went back down to 90, if that makes sense. So there's always a risk on both sides.
I mean, what I would do, and this is what I would say to any homeowner, is if you want to buy stocks, fundamentally the cheapest loan that you're ever going to get is the mortgage on your home. So by virtue of not prepaying your mortgage, by virtue of making just the minimum payment on your mortgage, or by virtue of taking out a home equity loan or a home equity line of credit, I mean, that would be and I'm not, to be very clear, I am not advising that people do that.
You're not advocating.
I am not advocating.
I was about to say, hey, stackers, these are all, we're just comparing bad ideas.
So to be absolute, I am not advocating that anybody borrow money against their home. Conceptually, why would that be worse than margin?
I love that she said, I'm not advocating.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute.
Paula, what you're talking about there is a really interesting point because, if you aggressively pay down your house and then say, well, I will just use margin to buy my stock portfolio instead. Right. It's like, well, why wouldn't you have gone slower and invest along the way? Or if you're okay with doing margin, why wouldn't you just charge it on your Amex? Right. Like just do a cash advance. It's all the same thing. I use the same analogy for real estate versus stock market investing. It works really well because of the leverage factor, right? You put 20% down, somebody else paying the mortgage, yada, yada, yada. That's why it looks so good on paper when you math it out. And I go, well, yeah, stock market investing looks really great too. If you put 20% down and buy 100% worth of stock, if it goes up, it looks really awesome. Right. That's a really great return. And there's places all over the world that will lend you, 4-to-1 on your money. But why don't we do that? Because it's pretty aggressive. Exactly. Like it's really aggressive. Like somebody buying a house with 3% down, it's doable, but there's a lot of risk with that, especially if you're buying it as an investment, right? Probably barely breaking even cash flow.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's why I'm such an advocate for calculating cap rate, because it filters all of the financing out of the equation. Yeah. And you can just look at the asset 100%. Itself minus any financing.
Take out all the emotion out of it.
Yeah.
Let's see how much emotion Jesse's going to have in his second pick. Jesse,
so you can have some sweet emotion.
You can take the lead here, man.
Well, actually, I do have an emotional answer. Just listening to Paula and OG talk right there, though, I think a takeaway, like money is fungible. I think this level up that not everybody has when they enter into the personal finance world. That's a big level up in your own personal finances, is that realization that money is fungible. And, whether you're, anyway, just that's a big takeaway for me. But okay, second answer, how to lose money in the market. I would say that a good way to lose money in the market is panic selling.
Is panic selling on the list? Sell all, specifically, Jesse, on this piece, it says sell all your stocks in a bear market, which I would categorize 100% as panic selling. The author of this piece says bear markets are far too painful to sit through. After stocks nosedive, sell your stocks and wait for the coast to clear. How hard can it be to pick bottoms? Oh, gee, how many times have we had headlines over the years where some expert, even in some cases advisors, jump out of the market at the bottom in a panic?
Well, I mean, this happens to every investor at some point in time in their life, even if they have the most ardent, upbringing and strong stomach. You just kind of go, well, maybe this one's a little different. It takes a couple of, at bats, I think, before you recognize that the market is going to have good periods of time and not so good periods of time. And the people who make all the money, like, it's just so interesting to me to look back at history and see where all of the wealthy people make all of their money. It's like, when did Rockefeller make all this money? When did the Vanderbilts make their money? Like, these big giant families, it's like, well, they made it during times when the economy wasn't very strong. Now, some people may look at that and go, yeah, those POSs who took advantage of, whatever. It's like, I think Rockefeller was the one that like borrowed a whole bunch of money on margin to buy stocks during the Great Depression. I think, it's like swung at the pitch and, here's what, good luck. Right. When it comes to individual investing, I think you have to recognize that, it's just yesterday's price. It might be last month's price or 5 months ago price, but at some point in time you were like, this is a good price to get in. And right before the market went down, you thought, this is a really great price for me to get in again. And now it's back down to yesterday's price or 5 years ago price, and you're freaked out about it. It's like, what a great opportunity to literally go, holy crap, I missed it the first time. Now I get to invest.
It's so hard to see that opportunity, though. It's so hard.
It's impossible in real time. It's very easy in hindsight. We talked on the show about a team of advisors I knew during COVID that literally on March 22nd, the market was down 11% that day, sold their entire client portfolio to cash, $600 million of client assets. By the end of the day, they were to cash. The next day, the stock market was up 10%. So if you assume that their portfolio was maybe 60% stock and 40% fixed income, their clients lost out on $36 million of return. And worse, they took all of the minus 33 that happened up till March 23rd during COVID, right? So the economy was tanking and the market was tanking, and that was the bottom. And it was like, it's like somebody selling in March of 2009. So
just
the best thing to do is just look at your stuff once a year and just rebalance and let it go.
It's one thing for you to do it. It's another thing that you're pro. You're pro that whose job it is.
Trust
to make
me,
sure
I'm going to say
you're
air
not,
quotes on this. This group of folks.
Just to make sure their job is to make sure you don't panic and your pro panics.
They're like, we'll do it for you.
I don't want you to panic, so I'm going to jump off the building. Yeah. All right, Paula.
Man. All right. Well, Jesse actually took mine. I was going to say panic sell, but I do have two other answers in my brain. I have a question for you, Joe. Are we doing me and then me again? Are we like reversing?
It is. It's going to be you again in the third round.
So the less likely of the two answers in my head is the one that I should start with. Right? Save the better one for later.
Smart.
That's right, because you get 3 points in the next round.
Okay, well, Jesse said a word that, even though he stole my answer, which was panic sell, he also said a word that sparked an idea for a new answer. He said the word fungible. So, don't buy non-fungible tokens or NFTs.
So we're supposed to buy them?
So wait a minute. Yes.
So
the best way to lose money is to buy NFTs.
The best way to lose money is to buy NFTs. Correct.
A great way to lose money is to buy NFTs. Is that here? It is not. And yet, Paula, that has proven.
Yeah.
I mean, look at how wild that got. Right? I remember people that I saw as very responsible people. I remember. I'm thinking of two very specific people who talked about, I'm learning a lot about this. I know it's great. And these long social media posts, like talking about why this is going to be the next amazing thing. And maybe that was the that was the beginning of the end because it started going down
To
then.
be fair, I do think that the concept and the underlying technology is quite valuable. I mean, a non-fungible token is a record of ownership that is digitized and preserved and cannot be messed with. And I do think that record-keeping methodology is quite outdated, and that new digital innovation in record-keeping methodology has its place. And
It's fabulous.
but I think specifically, people buying NFTs around a monkey because they were speculating that others would pay more for it in the future. It got a little Dutch tulipy, right? Got a little frothy, got a little bubbly, but
I think the word little is misplaced
yeah.
there. It got
It got very Dutch tulipy.
8-bit crappy art that only appears on your computer, and I'm paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for it is ridiculous.
But I do think that NFT technology is digital record keeping, digital token record keeping is something to invest in. Absolutely. It's here to stay.
Well, we've got quite a run going. We've got Jesse's got 2 points. OG's got 1. Paula saved the best for last, and we go to 3 points next round. But in the middle of each Friday show, we pause for a second, and whenever we do a game show, it's funny. Let's pause this game for another game. So we have our trivia question, which is part of this 2-point day. Somebody's going to get a point for winning the game show. Somebody's going to get a point for Doug's trivia question. Man, do we got a good one today because it's a very special birthday today. Doug, what do we got as today's trivia question?
Hey there, Stackers. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and today is author George R.R. Martin's birthday. You don't know who that is? He's the guy responsible for Game of Thrones. Because he writes so slowly and still hasn't finished the series. Seriously, it's been years, George. Get off your butt. When he sold the rights to television, they worked much faster than Martin, and consequently, we ended up with that horrible ending that HBO decided to create. But he's also the author responsible for implementing something all writers say is a great idea: killing your darlings. Seriously, so many people died during this series that you don't know who to cheer for. It's immensely popular, though, so I'm thinking maybe we kill off OG at the end of this episode. I mean, ratings are going to go through the roof, right? Right? Well, just think about it while we dive into today's trivia.
Hold on a second, Doug. Was OG just like, please, God?
Yeah.
Take me now.
I saw him nodding his head. I think he's on
Don't
board.
threaten me with a good time.
All right, let's dive back in. In Game of Thrones, Martin's most famous death scene is probably the Red Wedding. It's called Red because so many people get the axe, including 4 main characters, which leads us back to OG. Let's make that today's question. While 4 heroes die in the Red Wedding, according to some serious researchers at the Washington Post, how many people die in all in the HBO version of Game of Thrones? I'll be back right after I go get some carpet cleaner. OG spilled some red wine, and it's really grossing me out now that I'm thinking about today's trivia question.
You know, it'd be so fun if Jesse Cramer gets this one on the dot.
Oh, he's gone.
Or if
he's
he misses,
getting the axe.
Or if he misses it, Doug, by 1.
Yeah, he's going to try to make it look good. Like, ooh. But
Game of Thrones, it's so funny. Doug, you didn't get into the series.
No.
I watched a couple episodes at the beginning and I said, I can't do this again, because when I got to the Red Wedding in the book, I literally, Cheryl and I are reading in bed and I literally take my book, I swore, and I threw it across the room. I was so mad when the Red Wedding happened. I literally hit the wall with the book and Cheryl goes, what the hell's going on? I'm like, I can't believe it just happened. Like all my favorite characters murdered in one scene. It was, so devastating. Paula, did you do Game of Thrones at all?
I'm obsessed with Game of Thrones.
Wow.
Obsessed.
Wow.
All of the time and energy that everyone else spends watching a wide variety of shows, I have, rather than go wide, I go deep. I funneled all of that into an like just an obsession with Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon.
Well, there's a lot of blood, so you could go deep there. Yeah.
Just like me with Below Deck Mediterranean.
Yeah, exactly. This is a 1-to-1. It's the same. It's the same. All right, OG, the series Game of Thrones, how many deaths in all happened on the HBO series?
Just a clarifying question. I understand that there's some spinoffs. Is this including spinoffs?
No,
or is this
this is just the original
primary series.
The primary series, yeah.
Okay, so I have absolutely no clue. So I'm just going to kind of back into it. I think there were 5 seasons, maybe 7. Paul's like, I know. There were probably 10 or 12 episodes a season. So maybe there's between 60 and 80 episodes. And this is on screen people we know that have died. This isn't like in the book. And this is like, we counted up all the dead bodies.
Yeah.
Somebody hit pause.
Researchers at the Washington Post watched the show.
Cutting edge research.
Yes. And saw this person died. Well, they saved the research for the important stuff, Sure. Like how many people died. Can you imagine like the intern getting that job? I want you to watch the entire series and tell me how many people died.
How many people died?
Paid for this?
Yeah. All right. So let's say maybe there's probably 80 episodes, maybe 100 in a 5 or 7 series or season series. You said 4 people died in that episode.
Well, 4 main characters died.
Okay.
We're not just talking main characters. We're talking everybody.
You're talking, and there's probably battle scenes.
There's battle scenes.
There's probably Attack of the Clones. There's Darth Vader. There's all those people that show up.
What the hell is he talking about, Doug? Is he delirious? No idea.
There was the Omaha Beach invasion scene.
100 times 100. I don't know. I'm going to say that it was, it's a big number. So we'll say 100 people died, 100 episodes is 10,000. So I am going to say 10,000 people died.
10,000 people died. Jesse, you looked this up while he was going, I'm sure. So did you know if he's too high or too low?
Way too low. No, I don't think I'm as familiar with the series as Paula, but I do think I've watched every episode. And so I don't think I'm spoiling anything for Paula here. That my mind originally went to one of the latter 2 seasons with is it Wildfire? Mm-hmm. There's the wildfire explosion at King's Landing, and like half the city blows up or something. And I'm like, well, there's probably like 50,000 people dying right there. As long as the researchers counted that as like, well, a ton of people just died right there.
They had to die on screen. You had to see them die on screen. I will tell you that.
Okay, so that kind of changes it. Boy, that changes the math a little bit. In that case, I'm gonna say, 3,000.
Well, Paula, there's no reason for you to go because Jesse got it right on the barrel. I'm joking, luckily. But Paula, you've got a big field goal there. 10,000 from OG, 3,000 from Jesse. What do you think?
This is total number of people who died on screen, which, it's a hard one because there's so many battle scenes, right? And so the question is, in a given battle, when you're watching, when you're just watching armies go at it, how do you count number of, You're
watching Rob or Jon Snow, and there's people getting killed in the background by somebody else.
Right, exactly. Man.
This doesn't include creatures, right? Like those weird creatures they have fighting, and
this is just people.
Do White Walkers qualify as people?
This isn't a historical.
There were people at one point.
Borgs?
Not at all.
Man.
So Paula does know one pop culture. Like, she doesn't know pop culture plural, but she knows.
I'm just excited, Doug, by that.
Yeah.
I'm very excited by the fact that she has a pop culture reference.
If you really want to binge on a YouTube channel, Alt-Shift-X has some of the best Game of Thrones breakdowns. I will say that.
By the way, if we will put the Washington Post piece that I found, Jesse and me, I'll put it on the. put it in the show notes because it's
Jesse,
really
you wanna just
interesting.
go ahead and do it
It's
right
an
now.
it's an illustrated guide to the seasons of Game of Thrones and all the people that died. And it's really, it's kind of fun. Like I've seen a bunch of infographics, Paula, in my day. You have too. Like you've seen a lot. I've never seen an infographic breaking down all the deaths in a series.
It really is a good infographic.
Okay, well, man, it's a hard one. I will say, despite the fact that we know that in the battle scenes, we know as the audience that the battles resulted in a lot of casualties, but there are only so many that we can actually see on a screen at a given time. So I'm going to take the under and guess 2999.
2999. I almost said niner. Did we see? Did you just have a
Calling from
niner?
a walkie-talkie?
What's that from? Tommy Boy, I think.
Tommy Boy.
Did we just get a
Number did you
niner?
call?
I think Steve played that at the start of an episode. Yeah. All right.
6.
OG with 10,000. Jesse with 3,000. Paula with 2,999. Who's right? We'll be right back and we'll find out. OG, you opened up with 10,000, and Jesse and Paula thought that number might have been slightly high. What do you think?
First, Jesse said 50,000, and then he changed to 3. I gotta be. I mean, that's such a move. That's I have no confidence in his thing. I just went on. I have no idea. Times a big number times a big number. So I did 100 episodes times 100 deaths. That's how I got there. That's it.
Jesse, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I think it all comes down to, and I think maybe Paula was thinking the same things, like the whole like on-screen versus off-screen deaths, or just like if you see an event where you know a bunch of characters, not characters in the show, but civilians in the show just died. Well, does that count or not? And I think that might swing the number one way or the other.
That is the hard part of this question,
yeah,
Paula.
Exactly. Like it's understood that this was a mass casualty event, but how many of those mass casualties?
Until they pile up the bodies,
Right.
cart them off to the great dragon fire in the sky.
I think George R. R. Martin forgot the word darlings. He's just like, okay, kill. They say to kill, so I'm just going to kill. Let's just kill everybody because, oh my goodness, if you want to see people die, just go to Game of Thrones or read Game of Thrones like I did. All right, Doug, who's going to win this one?
Hey there, stackers. I'm SB's overlord protector and the guy who's certain winter is coming, Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug. George R. R. Martin's birthday is today, and at first, we thought it'd be appropriate to just not finish this trivia question for like 7 or 8 more years. But we've got stuff to do, so let's go ahead and show the good author how to craft an ending. Watch this, George, you loser. Martin is known for taking to heart the well-worn idea in literature of, quote, kill your darlings. So, how many people did the HBO people kill on screen while trying to duplicate Martin's work? Well, I'll tell you this, Jesse and Paula were way under, and OG was over. But the correct answer is 6,887, making OG our winner. Because he was
unbelievable.
I know, he was only off by 3,113. I paused there because I was having to do a lot of math in my head.
Unbelievable. Lord Joffrey wins again, Paula.
Wow.
Lord Joffrey wins.
Knows nothing about it. Just takes some random
still wins.
guesses. Still
Wow.
Yes.
Haters gonna hate.
It is a great infographic, by the way, and I will link to it on the show notes at Stacking Benjamins. I found that fascinating. We were trying to figure out, by the way, and Paula, you know the Red Wedding, and Jesse, you know the Red Wedding. We were trying to figure out how many people died at the Red Wedding. It's what we and there were so many different answers. But then the Washington Post had a definitive for the entire thing. Like they can't tell me how many people died at the Red Wedding definitively, but they can tell me how many died in the entire series. So we went with the big number. What'd you say? Did 6,800 people die on screen?
6,887.
6,887. That's for people who haven't seen the series. That shows you what you're in for.
So OG was off by 3113. Jesse was 3887, and Paula 3888.
All right, we finished that one. OG notches a point, but one of you two, Paula or Jesse, you guys got to match him to keep pace. So the third round of our competition is 3 points each. And this second half of the competition brought to you by depositaccounts.com. You go to depositaccounts.com, you find out that those brick and mortar banks probably don't have your best interest at heart. And when you go to deposit accounts, let's do that right now, you'll find that you can compare 275,000 deposit rates for over 11,000 bank savings accounts, national average up to 0.5. It went down to like 0.49, but the top 1% down to 4.91. But think about that. If you're even in the national average, you're only getting 0.5%, doing a better job of keeping inflation if you're in one of the hundreds of banks that are in the top 1%, 4.91. Where do you go? Depositaccounts.com, where you can compare, ditch, switch, and save. All right. Paula, you saved the good one.
Whew.
Let's hope it's good enough.
All right. So the final one is meme stocks.
Buying meme stocks is that on the list? And yet, Paula, again, 3 good answers, and not on the list. And I'll tell you guys, these are actually good. Like the stuff that, Doug, you've seen these. The stuff that's on this list are pretty good stuff. There's some really good ones here. But Paula, did you get, obviously by thinking it's dumb, you didn't get involved at all in the meme stock craze?
I did a little bit. With it was a pandemic. I was bored. You know, there's a distinction between taking a very, very small percentage of your portfolio and being like, I've got nothing else to do, and this is the equivalent of sports betting, versus really betting the farm on it. And I interviewed this guy, a journalist from, I think he's a Wall Street Journal reporter, who tracked the whole story very closely. And he interviewed some people who are now in support groups because they really were staking their future on it. You know,
Lord.
And they were taking, grandma's inheritance and betting all of that on meme stocks because they really thought that this was a thing and they thought they were going to stick it to the man and all of that. And so, now there's whole support groups for people who are like dealing with the fact that that they lost their inheritance to it,
I have a family member that for a day, that day that the stock hit 70, remember that one? It went to 81.25 looking at it online. But when it closed, I think it closed around 70. He had over $1 million in GameStop stock. And he called me that day and I said, you need to sell this now. Like, sell it now. You've just locked in your future. Like you locked in a $40,000 a year lifestyle on top of all the other stuff that you've done. Like, that's $40,000 a year for the rest of your life. And he held on. And you know why, Paula? Because to your point, he was going to stick it to the man and he was a true believer. And was, but don't get me wrong, he's still doing really well. I mean, before that, the stock had been trading at like $1. It's still trading as we record this at $23.50. So he's still doing all right with his GameStop, but nowhere near where he was back on that day. So Paula gets to relax for the rest of the episode because it's now between Jesse and OG. Jesse, you're next. If you get 3, well, you know what? Yes, if you get 3. OG doesn't even have to go because he cannot catch you.
So this is like I'm on the free throw line. I'm down. I'm not even down. It's the end of the game. I'm on the free throw line.
You're up by 3. You're up by 3 with the ball. You just have to not brick it.
Right. But I've been
Seal
known to
the
throw
game.
some bricks.
Take a knee.
Don't
run it.
Throw some bricks.
Don't run it up the middle.
Hail Mary. You say Hail Mary. All right. If you want to lose money in the market, you should pay high fees and commissions.
Is pay high fees and commissions on the list?
Wow. The bricklayer does it again.
That's a
they call me the Mason.
Wow.
But yet another good one, Doug. That is another good one. I mean, you look at some of these really high fee investments, people choosing Paula, people choosing, I'm going to try to keep Paula involved so she doesn't fall asleep. But seriously, Paula, some of these high fee investments.
That was a fantastic guess. They call me the Mason. That was a fantastic guess. I want to know what's on this list because
I was just gonna say, who wrote this article?
I
What
feel
is
like
going
what
on?
we have come up with. I mean, this list better be darn good if it outperforms what we've come up with on this show.
So I will tell you I will tell you afterwards who wrote it. But for now, I will tell you that it is one of the Ritz-Holtz wealth management people.
I was
Oh,
gonna say, I didn't. Yeah.
You must not have read it if you saw
All
it.
good. I don't think I did. Right.
Brick after brick after brick.
Well, don't talk too quickly, OG, because if you don't get this one right, Jesse Cramer's taking home a win. What do you got?
Yeah, effectively a tie for the day, but whatever.
Nope, he's got 2 points. You got one. Oh, a tie for the day. I see.
Tie
Yes.
for the day. Yeah.
Okay.
I need to keep pace. That's all I have to do from here on out. I'm playing with the lead. I just, 4-minute offense. That's what we're trying to do here. 4 corners. We're just passing the ball. Not going to shoot. Just passing the ball.
Well, please, God,
all
shoot.
of these so far
Please.
have been very technical, and I think the answers are very broad based. So we've said meme stocks and what the margin and these things that are like specific things. So I'm going to go broad brushstroke. You are going to lose money if every year you rebalance your 401k based on what did good last year. So you sort by, what did good last year? Oh, I'm going to put my money in that one now.
This is horrible. This is absolutely.
I mean, I hate
How
to.
is that horrible?
Absolutely horrible. The rich get richer. This piece, and by the way, we'll tell you now, this is written by Ben Carlson at
No name guy at
Ritz-Holtz.
Ritz-Holtz.
Yeah, Ben's
heard of him.
Ben's blog is called A Wealth of Common Sense, 15 Ways to Lose Money in the Market. And this one is specifically number 4 on his list, Fight the Last War. Hedge the huge risk that just happened, buy the black swan after the huge crash just occurred, invest in the inflation hedge after prices have already skyrocketed, make the decisions you wish you would have made before you lost money. Fight the last war. Fight what did well before. That's ugly. That is ugly. Let me read the rest of these to you because I think you guys will agree that these are good. Number 1 on his list, pretend you're smarter than the market. How many times have we done that? You're sure just because you ate a tuna fish sandwich today and it gave you this little piece of brilliance that, oh my God, nobody else knows this thing that I know. Number 2, consistently try to time the market. I thought you guys would have gotten that one. That one is the one that people
Market timing.
all the time. Number 3, how often have you seen this? Chase performance, right? Chase what, and OG, this is kind of what you said with your last guess. Look at what did last year, right? If it's doing good now, that always, whenever we try to rebalance portfolios when I was an advisor, that was always the hard part. They're like, hey, so what do you want to do? We need to take some money out of this one.
I want more of that. That did good. I want more of that.
Yeah. Why are you taking money out of that one? No. Oh, okay. You're the boss. Where are we putting it? Let's put it over here. That's the one that's sucking. We're like, no. Reversion to the mean. Stop chasing performance. Number 5 on his list. I like this one. Take investment advice from billionaires. That one I knew you weren't going to get, but that is so true. Number 6, and we saw that, by the way, with Tony Robbins' last book, right? The way to make money, according to Tony Robbins, is just get into a hedge fund, OG.
Invest
get into
in
one
the
of
company
these
that Tony Robbins owns. Co-owns.
Get into the hedge fund that he wants you to put money in, and hey, you can do it. Minimum investment size, what, like $100,000? Like you can do that. No big deal. Number 6, worry more about being right than making money. How long have you seen this be the issue? This might have been, Paula, part of your GameStop one, right? People like, I'm going to stick it to the man. And so I'm not getting out. Because I'm on a crusade to make money. So
right.
Maybe. Number 7, benchmark your portfolio to the best performing asset class. Number 8, blame the Fed when you underperform. Number 9, live and die by the short run. I've done that before. I'm just going to make a little money over the next few days. Number 11, assume you're the next Warren Buffett. We talked about Warren Buffett. Number 12, overreact to market volatility. Number 13, be pessimistic about everything. Number 15, I'm skipping the ones that you guys got right. Try to become rich overnight, which again, could have been several of these. But
by the way, Joe, I did find a Warren Buffett action figure, and fittingly, it cost $287.
Does it really?
Yeah. It's on Etsy.
Warren Buffett action figure. Send me the link to that. I will link to it in the show notes.
I did.
So that we can all see that. All right, that's going to do it for today. Unfortunately, OG goes home with 2 points, and Jesse, you could have cheated just a little bit better.
I can't. No. I got to, you got to throw some once in a while. You know what I mean? It's like at the pool hall, you lose at first, you soften everybody up, and then you wait for the 10-point trivia day later on in the year. That's when you really just Google everything.
That was always my dad playing poker, by the way. At the start of the night, he would bet the dumbest hands. Yeah. And man, when all
Which
of a sudden,
one's an ace?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Jesse, let's stick with you. What's going on at the Best Interest Podcast?
You know, things are good. We've had some great interviews recently, and I don't know if I've talked about it here before. I put out some AMA episodes that are really, really fun. Ask Me Anything episodes. Listeners write in with their own financial planning questions, and I answer 5 or 6 questions over the course of 45 minutes. And I learn something new. The listeners learn something new, and everybody has fun.
That's fabulous. And so it's like a potpourri episode.
Totally. And it's questions all over the map from all sorts of different people at different stages of their investing or financial planning lives. And I've gotten good feedback, so I'm probably going to start doing more of them.
That's great. That's at the Best Interest Podcast, where finer podcasts are found. OG, what do you got going on this weekend, this second to last weekend in September?
Big weekend for me. A little after school activity on Saturday, somewhat important, and then next week kind of an off week. And my brother's coming to town, so we're going to get into some trouble next week.
Oh boy, Doug!
From the weekend,
gotta stay away from OG's neighborhood that week. You'll be able to OG's house will smell like a distillery.
Hitting all the bingo parlors, are you guys?
It can be crazy.
Paula Pant, thanks for hanging out again.
Of course.
What's by the way, I was very excited today to hear that not Paula, but Paula's devices think I'm sexy, which is.
So I just got a new iPad, and my iPad autocorrects Sehy, which is spelled Sehy. It autocorrects Sehy to sexy. So
perfect.
I was drafting the show notes for an episode that we did, one of the episodes on the Afford Anything podcast, where you come and answer listener questions. And I said, we're joined by guest Joe Saul-Sehy. Damn.
Perfect. Doug, you got to put that big thanks to Tim Cook and Company for adding that to the algorithm. I really appreciate you people there in Cupertino for thinking of me, making me Joe Saul-Sehy. Paula, what's going on at the Afford Anything podcast besides my sexy appearances?
Besides some weird autocorrects. The negotiation course that we have built, a course on how that you can ask your boss for a raise and get one, is open for beta testing. The week of September 3rd through 27th, that is the week when we are taking in beta testers for the course. So if you want to learn, actually, if you want to help develop a course on how to get a raise, come join us.
Awesome. And that is for that, we go to the website, right?
Yes. So go to affordanything.com. We'll have a page there. Actually, as of the time that we're recording this, I don't have a special link set up, but you'll find it. You'll find it. We'll probably place one of those big fancy banners up at the top or something. So.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you follow Paula anywhere on social media, you're not going to miss it. You're not going to keep it a secret.
I will try my best to keep it hidden.
Perfect. And that's it, affordanything.com. And we'll link to it, Paula, in the show notes as we get closer, by the way. So people want to find it. Yeah, we'll make sure we take care of that. All right. Thank you to our contributors. Doug, here's the big question, Doug. What should we have learned today?
Well, Joe, first, take some advice from Paula about Game of Thrones. And about borrowing against your house to invest. What was it again, Paula? Can you just maybe clarify that?
don't borrow against your house to invest in the stock market.
Even though she clarified if you were going to do it, exactly how to do
And
it.
definitely don't borrow against your house to buy an NFT.
Okay. And second, I'm still in awe of OG when he had that super deep insight. Hey, OG, can you say it again just so it really solidifies in my mind?
You should probably not day trade options if you want to get rich.
Thanks, man. Appreciate how kind and gentle you were about that. But the big lesson, don't tell Joe's mom that winter is coming, because that furnace immediately fires up before you even... And now it's 85 degrees down here. All right. Looks like it's time to strip down to my skivvies again.
No.
Thanks to Jesse Cramer for joining us today. You'll find his show, The Best Investment Podcast, wherever you're listening to us now.
Did you call it the Best Investment Podcast this time?
I think I did. I mean,
We're getting closer.
just Google Jesse Cramer. You'll figure it out. Because Mom says we can trust you. We'll throw links in our show notes or something at stackingbenjamins.com. Thanks to Paula Pant for hanging out with us today. You'll find her fabulous podcast, wherever you listen to finer podcasts. And thanks also to OG for joining us today. Looking for good financial planning help? Head to stackingbenjamins.com/OG for his calendar. See, I got something right. This show is the property of SB Podcasts, LLC, copyright 2024, and is created by Saul-Sehy. You'll find out about our awesome team at stackingbenjamins.com, along with the show notes and how you can find us on YouTube and all the usual social media spots. Come say hello. Oh, yeah, and before I go, not only should you not take advice from these nerds, don't take advice from people you don't know. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Before making any financial decisions, speak with a real financial advisor. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and we'll see you next time back here at the Stacking Benjamin Show.